That's James's pizza for today. Some cherries and grapes for dessert. And the base of this pizza was basil pesto power bowl, minus the chicken. Elvis and Opie had the chicken. And James will be putting that on for a sauce. I'm going to read a poem called Faith that I wrote and then talk about Chinatown, the Righteous Gemstones, the complete first season, Active Measures, Brigsby Bear, The Good Mother, The F Word, and I Still Believe. And we'll see what James has to talk about too, it looks like.
The usual.
Yeah. Okay, boys, inside. Go inside.
We've got some fans out here, not just in.
Yeah, so if you can close them in.
Okay,
they think that James has more chicken for them because I gave them all the chicken off the power bowl because I wanted to put all these other toppings on top of the power bowl stuff, and James would eat the chicken, so that'd be mean. He wouldn't be able to pick through it very well. So anyway, now one thing, I would have liked to add fresh oregano from James's garden because he has lots, but I didn't make it to James's house to pick some oregano, so that's the pizza. So what I did is I put the gluten-free crust on the electric grill outside on a low heat, and put what I did is I thawed out the power bowl in the fridge overnight, and I put the pizza crust on top, and then I flipped the bowl out onto the pizza crust on the grill, so I didn't lose the stuff everywhere. And I had to pull some out of the bowl, but anyway, I covered that up and cooked that, and then I put on some mushrooms, onions, and garlic that I grilled earlier, and put the tomatoes and avocado on fresh.
So if you were watching yesterday, Pauline's arrangement of the avocado is a lot more artistic than mine.
Well, I don't know.
Was yesterday.
I don't know. I see. You might not have been watching yesterday because I'm planning on just deleting those and redoing, because we didn't have. We tried to tape the deck dinner twice, and both times the batteries ran out, and I thought, okay, maybe this is a sign. So we'll see how this goes.
That's why you got so many movies.
Yes, I put the ones that I reviewed because I don't know how much I actually reviewed and don't know if it's important. But we'll see how it goes. So I wrote this one today and yesterday. So I started it July 17th, 2024, and at some point, after line 16, you'll see there's a very different change of attitude. So because that's how my mind works from day to day, and so this poem ended up, I thought it was done, and it was not, and so I continued it on after not sleeping last night. I was very stressed out and trying to sleep, but it did not work. And then I think there was a raccoon in this lilac. The dogs went crazy. But anyway, so here's my poem, Faith. It seems like every time I pray for God and Raphael to heal the sick, my ailing loved ones lay down dead, and so I'm left to feel I've caused the deaths of those I love. Like I'm a reaper and just play a healer for the Lord above, this Lord who takes my loves away. I haven't proof God heals at all. In fact, it seems the opposite is true. So why then should I call on God to heal? His healings, I'll say shoot. My faith in God is like a curse on those I love and me. I pray to God and just feel worse, so lack of faith might set me free. Here's where I changed and wrote this morning. But maybe this is just a test of faith to see if I just trust God to know what outcome's best. I guess it's sometimes best to die. Some people die while others live, so they'll fulfill their purpose here. By times, a death might even give some drive to folks the dead hold dear. It's tough for us when loved ones die. It's tough for us to understand God's will and how it's done, yet I have faith that God will lend a hand when things seem hopeless. But I hope that God might help me if I pray. Perhaps my prayers just help me cope with what I can't control each day. Perhaps when ailing loved ones die, I learn to live here on my own, appreciating days that I have left. With every death, I've grown. If reaping is God's will for me each time I heal, then I'll endure I have faith God sees what I can't see and knows when death's the only cure. Since loved ones' deaths are hard on me, I think for now I'll only pray for rain or finding blooms to see if loved ones just die anyway. I'll pray to find new life each day and nurture flowers that I see, since all these flowers that I pray for are the life that nurtures me. Death nurtures all that's living too. Death nurtures flowers so they grow. Although it's always tough to do, we have to let our loved ones go. So if I pray for blooms to find, I'll see the beauty in what's died to feed life of a different kind. For now, I'll seek out life, not hide from death till life is all I see. Death's just a part of life. Death sends life on to feed infinity. There's comfort knowing nothing ends, cold comfort for the sick and old, that God decides to heal or not. It's tough to see that God's so cold, but God's the only God we've got. I'll follow loved ones who've passed on one day. Till then, I'll live each day. I'll love and live until I'm gone and grow more life each time I pray. One day, death might not feel so bad. It might just feel like life one day. I'll think of loved ones that I've had and love the flowers where they lay. I might see God in everything. I might just see God's energy in the life in death, and that may bring love's warmth to truly comfort me. When God seems warm instead of cold, my prayers may leave me warm inside. It might take years. I might grow old before my fears of death have died. And that's what I have. And see, oftentimes when I have problems writing on an issue, it just goes on and on, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, what will I just scrap this, or what's going to happen with this, right? I never know. So, and that's the problem when you don't have when you don't have a poetic form to fill. If you haven't set out a form, then it gives you the opportunity to just keep going on and on and on too. So then you end up having like a novel or something.
That's why free verse goes on and on.
Yeah, there's nothing holding it. So anyway, Chinatown, Jack Nicholson, Faye Dunaway, they did a great job. It's a mystery. Nicholson plays a private eye. And this Roman Polanski directed this, and everyone did a great job.
Set in LA, right?
It's I don't know. Anyway, it's a great mystery, and the ending is uncomfortable, but maybe that's what helps make it great. Honestly, Jack Nicholson's character gets beat up a lot in this. It's some serious stuff, and I think that helps to show just how things have to end. Really, it's uncomfortable. That's what makes it great, I think. So, the Righteous Gemstones, the first season, I laughed and laughed and laughed. And yeah, there's some unpleasant humor in this. I mean, there's
some people
die,
yeah.
and yeah, there's a lot of people would find a lot of this humor offensive, but I find it funny. I enjoyed it, and I look forward to the next season. I don't think there's any characters that I relate to or relate with in this. It's I feel pretty good about that. But honestly, I think I always loved John Goodman, and I love him in this. It's good to see him, and yeah, I can't say everyone would enjoy watching this, because some people would very much not enjoy watching this.
I think some religious people would be really offended. Right?
Yes, yes, yes.
The kind of religion that these guys are making fun of. If you're offended by the humor, I don't know.
I don't understand it. I mean, there's the kind of Christianity that they show in this, the big glamour and the big stadiums full of whatever, and it's, you know, all that wealth and stuff. It was not what I was taught was what Christianity was about. So it's, to me, it doesn't seem that way. But then you see some other people and you think, oh gosh, well, this is better than that, right? So there's, greater devils or whatever in this. But honestly, as I'm aging, my attitudes about things are changing, and it's really not for me to say what's good and bad and whatever. I can say what's good and bad for me, and that's about it. So some may love that and others may not. James will talk about active measures later. Brigsby Bear, this has Mark Hamill in it. Fortunately, not very much of Mark Hamill, but honestly, he did a good job. He was cast well in the role, and I liked him in this. I have never seen Kyle Mooney before, the actor who played the lead in this, but boy, did he ever do a great job. You can see how, he's such a nice person, and he's a believable character. He's grown up extremely sheltered. So not, you may know of some people that they ended up living in their mother's basement forever or whatever because they grew up sheltered, and they were really sweet, nice people, and you can understand why their mothers would want them there forever, right? Because they're just lovely. And he's one of those people. And but yet he's getting back into the real world, and I don't want to give everything away. I don't know how comfortable I am with the idea of this. Seems a little more, well, fiction, right? Hopeful, a little too hopeful given the circumstances of the story, but I don't want to give it away, so there you go. It's worth watching. May as well watch it. I can't say everybody would enjoy watching it. There's some adult humor in that and stuff like that. But, this one, you actually see penises. Quite a number of them, really. As well as breasts and stuff like that, naked. So, it's different, but it doesn't bother me or anything. It's not like they're just there. Whatever. Big deal. The Good Mother. Hilary Swank did a great job in this, and honestly, everyone did. I like the way Olivia Cooke played her character, and I guess that must be Jacqueline Renoir who played the other one, but or Rayner. I don't know how you say his name.
Probably Rayner.
So anyway, when you watch this, it's a bit of a mystery too, and as soon as you see Jack Rayner's character, you're like, well, something's up. You know it, right? Because he's doing a good job of acting, and you can sense that. But you don't know exactly what's happened, and the mystery unravels. And in the end, I don't know that I feel that she's a good mother, but she did her best. In the end, you feel, well, you kind of forgive her for some things, given the circumstances. You judge a mother honestly by how their kids end up, right? So, what do you do? Anyway, I love the ending in this. This is one of the best endings I've ever seen. It leaves it open. You don't know what's going to happen, right? You kind of wonder. And I guess you wonder, well, what would a good mother do, right? Given the title. I don't know. The F Word. This has Daniel Radcliffe and Zoe Kazan and Adam Driver and some other woman, Megan Park. I don't know her at all, but I love seeing Daniel Radcliffe in movies, and I wouldn't have thought it. You'd think that the whole Harry Potter thing would have just totally tanked his career, but he ended up flipping this thing, and I like watching movies that he's in. Mind you, this movie, I'm uncomfortable with the idea of it. I don't like the idea of, I guess guys do this, like, guys will become friends with guys in a relationship, who are in a relationship, to get after the the woman he's dating. Sometimes I've heard of that, but I don't know how many guys would get away with being friends with the woman just right from the get-go a lot of the time, but guys do that too, I suppose. And anyway, I'm kind of uncomfortable about this movie. I can't see something like that lasting. But there's a lot of funny things in this, and these two do seem well matched. Whatever. So maybe that's just me.
So this is Harry Potter then?
Yeah.
Without the glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people pull it off, like that guy with the double-barreled English name who played Hadray. He was on TV, right?
Yeah.
I can't remember his name, but quite a good actor. I guess even as a kid.
I still believe. So this one has KJ Apa, and I guess it follows the true story of Christian music mega star Jeremy Camp. And
Oh, she's interesting, Nick.
I know. And she looks really cute. She's gained some weight and stuff like that, but Shania Twain, she hasn't gained that much weight. And she still looks, honestly, I think she might even look cuter with this amount of weight on her bones. But that's just maybe my personal taste. I think that women actually look better when they have when they're filled out a little bit more. So
At times she was a little too thin.
Yeah.
Back in her heyday.
And honestly, you see this and you're like, oh, okay, well, Shania Twain's in this, then whatever, she's going to be doing some music, yay, or whatever, right? But she does not. So you watch this and go, And instead, I mean, she's in this movie, she's married to the guy who plays the head detective in the CSI Las Vegas, or no, New York.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, the one that you
With a
say
big
looks like
meat
he used to be in a military. He seems like military or something.
Big kind of meat face on him, right?
I don't think so. He looks handsome to me. I don't know what you mean by big meat face.
Like
he looks
round
good.
head.
No, not at all. That's him. So anyway, I don't actually think
Big meat face, but
I don't think
everyone's
that
got different
KJ Apa, I don't think he's really very talented musically. I don't know. I guess they must have thought so, or they cast him for the role. I would hope that Jeremy Camp's music is better, but anyway, I haven't heard of either of these guys, but I don't listen to this kind of music, so that's no surprise. And honestly, I do believe in stuff like this. You might have gathered from my poem. I don't know what to call it. I don't know what to call. Like, it's easy to just give, the name of God or something to some force that seems to have more control over things than we do on our own, or something like that, or seem to. But maybe it's us, and maybe I don't know what it is, but it's different people will give that a different name. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter to me. And it doesn't matter to me that this is Dove approved, so if you're Christian, you probably wouldn't have wanted to watch the Righteous Gemstones, but you might want to watch this or whatever. And whatever. I don't see why people would be offended by one and not the other, or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of people who'd watch the Righteous Gemstones and they'd never watch a Dove approved movie. I don't understand why that would be, but anyway, I was watching this and I felt kind of uncomfortable when he ended up marrying afterwards, but at the same time, I understand. I mean, he was very young when he married the first time, and maybe it did seem like God had brought them together. You know, his second wife. So whatever. Maybe that is the way it was meant to be. So anyway, whatever. So there you go. James going to talk about active measures now. So go ahead, James. Let her roll. Active measures.
Maybe you can check and see how much time I've got.
You have lots. You have lots. So go ahead and talk.
Well, I'm
Don't stand there.
finishing a piece of paper.
Okay, you have 8 minutes. Talk. Okay, sit. Okay. Okay.
Anyway, the way you really start dealing with that, like dealing with the inclusion for those, you'll be dealing with this in greater detail. Probably that in greater detail too. The American election coming. The recommendation for this book was published in 1988. Looks as though largely finished in 1987. Was take the mafia seriously and do something about it. Take the mafia seriously and do something about it or them. In 1988. Now we got something way worse than the Italian mafia. It's worldwide. And basically the Russian mafia had an American president for 4 years. They had leading contender for the Democratic Party in 2016 and 2020. And that guy, Bernie Sanders, enabled Donald Trump to get close enough to cheat in enough elections to steal the election in 2016 and get close enough to get people, barely people, to have a little insurrection for him. He almost stole the election 2 different ways. Through the corrupted electoral system and then having a bunch of ne'er-do-wells try to take over the American government. Back in, I think that was early 2021, in the wake of the election in 2020. So, other things that just occurred to me. They were showing how Donald Trump, mentioning and showing how Donald Trump had run out of places to run to, people to run to, monsters to run to, really. In some cases, in the so-called free world, relatively free world, let's call it that. And the people who bailed them out were the Russian mafia, headed by Putin, biggest mafia leader ever, incredible. And there's no one in the free world, relatively free world, would lend money to. Big trouble is, it's mentioned in here in contract on America, when you borrow from the mafia, it doesn't matter if they're Russian or Italian or whatever, they've got you for life. And your life might be considerably shortened as a result. That's why you end up having to do what they say. If you don't, well, it's the last thing you don't do. Now, one of the things that's fascinated me over the last, I guess it's 8 years now, even earlier, because the Trump was trumpeting himself as a presidential candidate as early as 2015. I think I was getting stem cell therapy then. They had a TV in my room. I couldn't stand watching. I couldn't stand watching the news. Eventually, I couldn't even stand watching the sports because my back was trouble. It was summertime. I think they only had Canadian football at that point in time. I like Canadian football, prefer it at least to NFL football. Anyway, college football too, in the States. But there's the Fox coverage for Donald Trump. You know, theoretically, Donald Trump's all for capitalism. He's a capitalist himself, theoretically. So, I guess Fox come up with an excuse for Trump, allowing him to trumpet himself, or trumpet about himself, on their network. But anyone who knows anything, and they know, even those idiots on Fox Network know that Trump is a Russian agent. So there's Murdoch, and the thing to understand about Putin is he's not a capitalist. Former KGB agent, the flunkies that he's got as his major underlings are former KGB agents. His rhetoric, that's Putin's rhetoric, is resolutely anti-capitalist, and not just anti-American, anti-capitalist. Get that straight. I know one person who's got an education all the way up to PhD level who said to me, and at least one other person, when he finally decided Putin was wrong in Ukraine, that's after it became relatively evident that, to him at least, that they fixed the American election the Russians had in 2016. 2014, he was saying Putin had a right to the Ukraine. The real threat in Ukraine was the American empire. Okay. Anyway, it was hard for me to keep my eyes on cross when I was hearing that nonsense. What? How did Fox get, they understand. They'd have to understand. Trump's a agent of Putin. Russian agent. Not a capitalist. Putin's not a capitalist. Trump really is. He's a mafia thug. Not really a thug, but the kind of person who does deals with the mafia. I gather his dad was too. Building in construction in New York City. I don't know about his granddad, but these things tend to run in the family. So why are they allowing this advertising to happen for free, basically, on their network? Well, the same thing. They were mentioning that Putin was the only guy who would lend to Trump. He's got his hooks in. I'm going, oh, that reminds me of something. I believe it was in the recession of 1991. It might have been in the wake of 1987. I'll have to check. I think it was after the fall of the Soviet Union. Rupert Murdoch's little empire was about to fall. He'd done a lot of borrowing in order to buy things. And when the times went bad, I think it was 91, it might have been in the wake of the stock market crash in 87, then he had trouble making the payments back on the money that he borrowed. Interesting. And the story went, I think this is like in the Wall Street Journal or something like that, that one lender, if that last lender had pulled the plug on Murdoch, his whole empire would have come crashing down. I wonder where that lender, presumably a bank, got their money. The suspicion is it's the Russian mafia.